Hi there.
Hi, welcome back to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
So, here we are, February 2024. Sales suck. eBay sales suck.
They're so bad.
And so we figured, you know what, we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into a video because that's what we do. We share our experiences and we talk about them and what our plans are. And then we also answer questions from you guys, which, people often leave in the messages, and we love to do videos on that as well. So
we do. So to be clear, when we say that the sales suck, so we typically do about $250, $300 a day. That's kind of where
that would be our
at
average, right? So it does range.
Right. Of course. And some days we get those really awesome days and like the world is bright and rosy. So for the last 2 days, our sales on
yesterday did turn out a little bit better because we had one sale yesterday when we went to bed that totaled $20.
Right. That was a good sale. Go us. So our good day of our bad days these last couple of days, yesterday was $161. And the day before that was $61. So we're talking like it's been really bad days.
Yeah, $220 between 2 days when we're averaging just under $300 a day. Like we said, January, we did
amazing
$10,500 month.
Yep.
Last year, averaging $100,000. That's, almost $300 a day. So
yeah.
Sales suck. But this is where we all need to focus in. As business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people who are willing to do that hard work to get started, to have the ambition, we're doers. We're planners, we're doers. And this is the hard part is that, okay, well, what happens when it appears that things aren't working to plan?
Yeah. The world is falling apart. We had 2 bad days of sales.
Two bad days in a row. So we talk about this ourselves, and that actually our videos are more therapy for us than they are probably helpful for anybody that watches them. But, it's important for us to remember individually, and then you out there as well, that you've made a business plan. Whether you've written it down or not, you have an idea about how you want your business to function. You've decided whether or not you're going to do promoted listings. You've decided, based on what your experiences were at the time, what those rates would be.
Right. What categories you're going to go into. All of those things were part of a plan that you established.
Right. If you were going to cross-list onto other platforms, or if you were going to just stick with one platform, none of it is really relevant to the conversation. You've made a plan. As entrepreneurs, we're go-getters. We want to actively do something that we perceive to have an effect in the world. This is the hardest part.
It is. What do you do when you feel like your plans aren't coming to fruition?
After 2 days, you don't do anything different. This is the hard part. We have to have faith in the plan that we built, and we have to go through it. And sometimes it's hard.
The process.
And we were talking about it this morning, and I kind of related it to a marriage. And that, you have different stages in a marriage. And let's be clear, anyone who is out there who's ever been married knows that a marriage is not the wedding day. It's not the birth of your child. It's not those huge days that are momentous. Having our reselling business, it's not the day we sold a $1,500 item.
Right.
It's the day that we sold $200 in stuff. It's the day that we sold $60 in stuff. We didn't give up on it. I'm not giving up on our relationship because we had a fight. She's not giving up on me because I forgot to put her Christmas present under the tree.
Which he did.
So these are the challenges that day in, day out that entrepreneurs struggle with, because this is the hardest part of running the business is the daily monotony.
Yeah.
It's those slow days where we've tied so much of our personal energy into what we're doing. We tied ourselves into the listings. So the other day I talked about how disappointing or how upsetting it is when somebody sends you a super lowball offer. And it's because you put your energy, your heart and soul into that product. If it was just, some random thing off the shelf that I had, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
If I had 1,000 of them, it wouldn't matter. The fact that I had to go out and I had to find that item and I had to do the work to get the item, I had to talk to people and put myself out there. There's a lot that goes into this business that is overlooked, and it's much different than working in a job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're working it like a job and you think of it like a job, then
It's
you're
gonna be
only
different.
going to get that type of job experience. This is part of our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Is really what it boils down to. And this is the life that we live. We talked about this morning, sales are sucking and we're just going to push through. And you know what? Yesterday, after we went to bed, we ended up getting
a few more sales.
like $140 in sales after we went to bed.
Yeah.
So why am I getting so worked up over it and having it ruin my day? Have faith in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Just have faith in the plan. Follow it through.
Yeah.
We're at $40 today. We're already double where we were yesterday at the same time. So, we just have to take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we are doers. So rather than going and changing our promoted listing rate, taking promotions off from our products.
Right. Doing something drastic.
Right. You're promoting at 3% and I'm going to put it at 25%. No, why are you're sabotaging your plan?
Mm-hmm.
We need to develop a plan that makes sense based on our experience, and then we need to follow it through.
Right.
For a reasonable period of time, not 2 days.
Right.
And determine, is it working for us?
Mm-hmm. And to clarify, obviously we talk about, plans can change, plans can adapt. Absolutely. If you see something that somebody is doing and you're like, oh, you know what? That's a really good idea. Why didn't I think of that? I should totally work that into the process.
Right. For years, I operated this business and did not have a light box.
Mm-hmm.
I would take photos with a white backdrop and natural lighting, and sometimes it looked amazing and sometimes it looked like garbage. And I'm able to learn. And after 3 years of practice and seeing that was not the best method for me, I changed.
Right.
And I adapted and I bought a light box.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't cost me a lot of money. But it was just in my mind, it was that thing that, I just couldn't bring myself to do.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that we do have to trust the process. And that's so hard to do because we're doers, we're planners, we feel like we have to do something in order to change the world right this second.
Right.
And sometimes we do. We have to stop ourselves. We have to take a deep breath. We have to remind ourselves of the successes that we've had in the past, right? We have to stop. We have to look at ourselves and we have to go, okay, look, you know what? Last year was awesome. Last month was awesome. Last week was pretty awesome. The fact that we get to do this life together is amazing. So,
right. We're not going to just throw the baby out with the bathwater because we had one bad day.
Yeah.
So that's really what it boils down to. And as an example, we were talking about different categories and what categories are performing for us and which ones are not performing for us. And when you take a micro shot of just a day or a week or even a month, you can miss a lot. So as an example, last month, our number one category was cruise, ephemera, and cruise-related material. Mm-hmm. And we didn't sell anything of that category yesterday.
In fact, it was our biggest, I believe, last year as a whole.
It was, yes.
So, we didn't sell any of that yesterday. You know what? He should totally stop putting energy into that category because we didn't get any sales there yesterday.
Right.
Obviously, you can tell how absurd that sounds, right?
Right.
Yes, when you put it like that, that's just crazy talk.
Our promoted listing rate works for us. We're comfortable with the amount that it costs us. We're not comfortable increasing that. Mm-mm. So we're not going to.
Right.
Because we've already made a plan. We're not going to increase it. It might come down if we found that, some new information. But the reality is that we have not seen any new information to suggest that having a lower rate would do better for us. Right. So we are going to continue unless it is a planned experience. Mm-hmm. We're not acting rashly. We are taking our time. We're analyzing data. We are making decisions in a business-like manner.
And then we're trusting those decisions.
And then you have to have the faith in that experience. You have to have the faith in your spouse that your spouse is going to do the same thing, for you in a marriage. And that, again, people struggle with that. It's very hard, whether it's a relationship or whether it's running a business, to have that faith that tomorrow the sun's going to come back up.
Right. And you're going to have bad days sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's just life. You can have bad days or you can have bad moments that you turn into bad days, or you can have bad moments in your business. Okay, yeah, we had a $60 day. That totally sucked. We could turn that into a bad business. We can make bad decisions. We could do and you can blow it up in your mind.
Well, and the thing is that what we find in our lives is that the more energy we spend planning and considering what our options are, the better our decision-making process. So as an example, we've been in the situation before. The car breaks down. You don't have the money to fix it. So rather than fixing the car, you go to the dealership and you sign your name and you don't put any money down because you don't have any money.
You don't have any money. That's why you didn't fix the car.
And you're driving a new car today. And doesn't it feel great to drive that new car off the lot?
Yeah, until you get the payment.
And then you get that first payment, right? And that first payment is, nowadays it could be in the 500 or something.
Yeah.
I did this on a truck, and I had a $600 a month payment that lasted me. I did pay the vehicle off to the end of its term, and it ended up taking 7 years, I believe, to pay off a $600 a month payment.
Yeah.
And I would have been much better off if I would have just fixed the vehicle I had before instead of buying something I couldn't afford. But it was a rash decision. It was instantaneous. I have to go find something right now, and I don't have time. Conversely, we had a car that we had purchased, and we had time to buy it. We had negotiated, we had done the research, we figured out what model would work for us, we found all of the bells and whistles. We had our children were young at the time, so we're like, oh, it'd be amazing if we could find something with the entertainment system in it. You kidding me? They can drive around and watch cartoons and stuff. I mean,
how much would
powered doors, air conditioning, I mean, absolutely everything you can imagine. And we found, and again, not my favorite vehicle in the world. Nobody wants to drive a minivan. I mean, nobody went to the dealership looking to buy this thing. But we found this minivan. The guy that owned it took immaculate care of it. He had vacuumed it out. It was clean. It ran like a top. It was amazing. We drove this thing forever.
Yeah. And
we paid $2,300 for it in cash because we had planned to replace a vehicle. And the experience with that, the experience of, we're going to make a logical decision, we're going to plan it out, we're going to execute the plan, so much different than I have to do this right now.
Right. And then it's an emotional decision. Right. And sometimes, I can say this because I am such an emotional person. Sometimes your emotional decisions aren't the best decisions for the world, right? It's not necessarily the best for the business. It's not necessarily the best for the marriage, for the relationship with your kids, because those emotional decisions can be very, like you said, they are very rash sometimes.
Right. So again, it's the same thing I talked about the other day when I have a person and I feel like I'm being personally insulted or attacked. And the first thing I want to do is I want to inflict the same damage on them. And that is not the correct way to pursue a healthy business relationship with someone. Sometimes you just take a deep breath and go, you know what, that it wasn't intended to be like that. Right. And, we can, maybe I need to walk away from the situation. Maybe I need to come back to this later. It's hard to say, but, it's, a lot of times it's time, it's consideration. If you're feeling anxious because you've had a bad sales day, you've had a couple of bad sales days, my advice to me is, if you're feeling anxious about your sales, sit down and do some more listings. And I know
that's not my that doesn't work best for me.
Right. But
that's what works best for him.
My advice to me, if I'm feeling anxious about work and I feel like it's just not happening, I sit down and I do some more listings. And even if I don't get that sale today, I know that I put up a quality listing and it'll sell in the future. So.
Yeah. For me, when I get anxious about work, you know, I do kind of have to talk it through, and I have to focus on, like, I have to shift my focus, right? So instead of focusing on the sales that we didn't make, I focus on the growth that I've seen in the business and the growth that I've seen in us as business owners, right? So that's where I have to, instead of focusing on all of those negatives of the, you know, the fact that we didn't make all the sales that I wanted to make, you know, I personally have to focus more so on, wow, you know what? I have grown so drastically in this last year. When I think about the fact that, like, I started this in October of 2022 and I know nothing, like, at all. And now the items that we have in the store that I've handpicked, and the changes and the just all of the stuff that I've learned, not just of running a business, but the jewelry and all of it, like, that is amazing. The growth when I look at the store itself from when you started full time and you made like 20,000, and then it was 40,000, and then it was 75,000, and then it was 100,000, and I'm just like, holy crow! Like, we're doing that. That is just amazing. So, okay, we had a bad day, you know, but
I think
God,
that's
we got a great life.
I think that's a level of maturity I don't have. I think it takes me a lot longer to get there. I have to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so another thing,
I'm mental. So that's,
no. So another thing, another thing that we do is we have to get out of the office. So again, we start our day, we get out, we you know, do some exercise. Mm-hmm. We walk 4 miles every morning. We used to run the whole 4 miles. So just a little bit easier on the knees and ankles. Mm-hmm. The getting out of the office, trying to get out of that headspace.
Yeah.
You know, last year when we first started doing our videos, we talked about we had a terrible day, and we're sitting here and we're trying to do listings, and you're so in your head with it. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm done in the office. I can't deal with it anymore. Turned off the ringer on the phone, and we went to a movie. Mm-hmm. And as a reseller, you can do that. You can literally walk out on your job in the midday, and nobody's going to care. Like, seriously, nobody's going to care. Nobody's even going to notice, probably.
Mm-hmm. Right? Because I mean, what are you doing anyway? Like, you're not busy, right?
and we did, and we walked out, and like I said, we turned off the ringer, we turned off the notifications, we just walked out, we saw a movie, and we had a great time, and it was able to put us back on track on the day. And that one bad day did not turn our entire year over. It didn't put us out of business. You know, again, I always talk, like, we're not living in the car because we had a bad day. You know, these are the places that your mind will take you that aren't real.
Yeah.
You know, and
so
if you allow
he looked at all of the accounts, and he did the math, and he's like, okay, so right now in the business account, we have payroll through March, right? So just right now, we're good all the way through March. So
so
if we didn't make another sale.
Right. I was going to say, if we don't have a single sale until April 1st, we still get paid. Mm-hmm. We can still have enough money there. And then, you know, you look at your savings and you go, okay, well, April's just around the corner. So, you know, what am I going to do? And again, we're planners. We made sure we have savings, and you know, we can go
7 months. If we didn't have any more sales.
I don't know if it's that extreme, but I mean, the reality is, like we've talked about before, and I want to do a whole video on this. If you're interested in doing a video on debt and that, please let us know, because we are so passionate about living debt-free lives.
Absolutely. It's changed our life.
Absolutely. So if that's something that you're interested, drop it down in the bottom in the messages. If you have a technique, if you have a plan, if you have something that helps you on those bad sale day, to just change your perspective, because we all know we don't have control over any of these sales platforms.
No.
And honestly, we've done the in-person sales, we've done booths.
And you don't have control over that either.
Right. It's all perception. And the reality is, right, at the flea market,
if it's cold, if it's
nobody
hot,
shows up.
If, if church ran long, if there's a million reasons that they'll tell you, oh, well, it's a bad day today, but you just hold on because it's...
And honestly, to some extent, that is real.
Right.
That is real. There's people that go, I talked to a guy, he had done a weekend setup on a flea market, and my best experience is like $300 on a weekend. And he's like, yeah, I did 1,000. Mm-hmm. He does it all the time. I don't do that. I give up after I have the $100 day.
Yeah.
Or after I have the $100 weekend.
We let a bad day change the entire portion of that business.
Right.
You know? And we're not willing to do that with eBay. If we have a bad eBay day, then you know what? The rest of the business is pretty darn strong, and we just let it be a bad day.
Yeah. So I don't know that this helped anyone except myself, but please like and subscribe if you found any value in that.
Yeah. And you know what? Share with us down below. How do you get yourself through a bad day? What are your tips and tricks? Because we're always learning. We're always trying to learn anyway. So help us out down in the comments. Let us know what works for you.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck to you out there.